Welcome to the final part of our lesson on model earnings. We've talked a lot about the kind of money you can make as a model. We've also talked about the different tiers and how having an agent affects your income. Finally, we talked about starting small in the beginning and using lower paying jobs to your advantage. In the last part of our lesson, let's talk about budgets for models. Budgeting is what makes your money last. It's deciding to only spend a certain amount of money on certain things. It's also deciding how much money to save and not spend. Budgeting is important because models work freelance. That means you never really know when or where your next job is coming from as a model. In that case, you need a budget so your money lasts from the job you just did to whatever job comes next. Most people tell you that budget is most important on the third tier of modeling. They say that because this is when you make the least money. But remember what we talked about. When you're on the third tier and making very little money, it's not a good idea to try and live on it. It's also not a good idea to give away part of it in commission. Your model earnings on the third tier should be put away in your savings or put back into your modeling. Budget it to pay for any classes you take. Budget it for having headshots made or resumes printed up. One of the best places to invest money from your modeling is in yourself. When you start to make more money as a model and quit your day job, budgeting becomes much more important. Figure out how much you spend every month. Factor in food, rent, and all your other bills. That's the amount of money you have to make from modeling and spend every month. Make sure you book jobs that will pay you that amount. And make sure that you have that amount before you spend any money on things that aren't essential, like entertainment and new clothes and shoes. Now, you might think you don't have to worry about a budget when you reach the first tier as a model. Actually, you have to worry about a budget the most here. Remember two things. You won't always make that much as a model. Just because you make a lot of money as a model doesn't mean you always will. Eventually, you're going to stop working, and when you do, you better have saved your money. If you're still living like a millionaire when you're no longer making millions of dollars, you're going to be in trouble. The second thing to remember is just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean that's how much you have to spend. Don't buy $1 million house just because you have $1 million and can't afford it. Buy a house that costs a few $100,000 and save the rest. Models who do that will be comfortable for their whole lives instead of just rich for a few years. That's the end of our lesson on model earnings. I hope you'll remember everything we covered and use it to have a long, successful career. I also hope you'll use it to have a long, comfortable life after your modeling career is over. That part is just as important. Thanks, and I'll see you in our next lesson.